Well, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for our Friday Zoom audio for the week. Um, just to introduce myself, I am Jan Jeremias, and for more than 35 years, my focus has been on the health um, of other people, let alone myself. In all transparency, I have a much harder time directing it to myself than I do to others. But that has been my goal and my mission to help people live healthier and better lives. Those beings, not only people, but I also have worked with pets for a long time with animals. And I'm really blessed to be here with you all and to share space with you all each week. And for those of you who listen to us, we really appreciate that. And always an honor to be here with Mary Jane, um, who is a light in my life. So I'll pass it to you, Mary Jane.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah, it's the feeling is mutual, as you know. And for those that don't know me, for the recording purposes, I am Mary Jane McQueen, and I have my own creative studio where I help my fellow entrepreneurs lean into their mission and vision and support them in that way to get their mission and vision out into the world. And as well as I love to do anything else that's related to graphics. So that's just my creative spirit right there happening. So I am really feel blessed to be in this community with all of you and to have co-created it with Jan. And I just want to say that we really do appreciate you being here and your understanding and your patience with our humanness. And we'd really just can't wait to have this conversation and to move into the next phase in a few weeks' time. So I just want to say that the space, as always, and I know you all know this, that it's a space of gentle, intentional conversations and an experience that invites you to slow down and soften and reconnect with yourself. And really, we hope that the space continues to be a place of presence, really, and compassion and curiosity, and where we can bring mindfulness, breath, and energy awareness and creative reflection together as we move through our own transformations, whatever they may be. And as always, there's nothing to do or achieve here, and really an invitation to arrive. And with that, I'll begin with, as usual, I will begin with a poem, an invitation, which is to listen inward and a sense of what needs to be present for us today. So it's called Making Lemonade. And it says in brackets a poem about loving life. And it's by Dallin Candland. And it reads, no way, no way. You thought I would throw those precious lemons, oranges, and limes away? No, of course I won't do that. Those are part of my life, my energy, my soul. Nope, I won't throw those away. I'll use them to make a new drink. Want to completely rebuild myself to reach my next goal. I will use these lemons. I'll make some luscious lemonade. You'll see. With mixing this drink and feeling all the feelings, squeezing out every drop. I remember what a miracle it is to be me. There's always more to glean and enjoy at my love source. When I celebrate the journey I'm on, let things run through their course. I'll refill it, drink it, sell it. Heck, I don't really care. This stuff is completely precious to me. It's too good not to share. You thought my foundation of life was shaken? Perhaps it was, but this lemonade has given me a new life. Even if it was true for a moment, today you are sadly mistaken. I'll keep making this cool, sweet lemonade. Give it away to my tribe. I choose to be grateful for all that has occurred. That is 100% my vibe. Sure, I've made mistakes. There are so many I couldn't count, but I've learned that is much more about the lemonade than the lemons that life is truly about. So fresh, sweet lemonade is what I make. It is mine. It is not fake. I've squeezed every lesson to its max, filled my lemonade with humbling facts. It tastes pretty good, I gotta say. So why, I ask you, do you ever think I would throw those precious lemons, oranges, and limes away? There is no way I'd ever do that. No way. No way.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mary Jane. So welcome. We welcome you. We welcome you just as you are, whether you arrive feeling steady, stretched, uncertain, or somewhere in between. However this day has met you, there is space for you here. Today, we gather around a simple yet powerful idea: the sweetness within the sour, turning lemons into lemonade. Life, as we know, does not always unfold as we expect. It brings moments that feel sharp, uninvited, and sometimes difficult to hold. And yet, within these moments, there's also the quiet possibility of transformation. So together, we will gently explore what it means to meet what is here, to stay present with it, and to discover in our own way what might be created from it, not by forcing change or denying what is hard, but by allowing space for something new to emerge. There is no one way to do this. Each of us carries our own experiences, our own lemons, and our own way of working with them. And perhaps in being here together, we may find not only our own path, but also a sense of shared humanity, connection, and support. So as we begin, we invite you to simply arrive, to settle in, to take a breath, and to be open to whatever sweetness may quietly be waiting within the sour. Welcome.
Such an important topic for us and conversation for us today, personally, right, Jan? It-
Absolutely.
and we hope it is for all of you as well, because we know we all move through um, life experiences um, where, you know, sometimes we get the lemons that we're not really expecting. And so it's just about choosing I liked how what is one of the articles was talking about choosing the recipe. I really like that, because it's like, what's the recipe going to be? Like, is it going to be, just pure lemon juice and it's going to be sour, or are we going to, thank you, Al, for the lemon. Um, or are we gonna make it into some sort of a lemonade, or perhaps something sweet if you like something with a lemon treat, like lemon squares that a friend of mine makes that are just delicious. So, um, anything lemon is delicious, really. But yeah, it's an interesting thought. It's like, what recipe are we going to choose? Because I mean, the circumstance is going to be the circumstance. The lemon is going to be the lemon. But what way are we going to make it into something beautiful? We hope.
Yeah, or actually, even if it's not beautiful, maybe it's just, I don't know another word that really fits that I'm thinking about, but manageable, or
Hmm.
just a way to move through it,
Yes.
slowly. And I think that that's one thing that, um, for me, that I know that I've learned that it's not something to be rushed. Um, we can't rush, we could, rush to make it and fix it. But most of the time, that's temporary. Most of those things maybe are temporary. And so we really need to take the time. And it is something that, is time well spent. And then the other thing is that it's not something that's one and done, because life constantly throws us lemons. It's not like we have one experience and we can, we make a delicious lemonade and that's the only chance we ever get to make that lemonade. It just doesn't happen that way. Life continues to give us unexpected and sometimes expected um, things that are going to happen. Um, we all are going to pass. We're all going to lose people. Sometimes we know those people are going to go. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we know, like, I mean, Taco was old and ill. And sometimes, that doesn't, and it's still a lemon that you have to make into lemonade. And you still have to um, just figure it out. And I think that that's what I also really appreciated by the articles is they talk about the process being quite individual. That it's not necessarily one recipe fits every circumstance or fits every person. And I
Yeah,
think in a way that's a comfort because I think we look for a recipe. Like that's human nature. It's like, okay, well, tell me what I need to do.
that's very true. Yeah, that's true. It's like there is no one way to deal with something, and we deal with it all in whatever manner comes to us at the time. But especially especially when it's often when it's circumstances that we aren't expecting. It's just that the opportunity for choice is there. What it is, does it make it easy? No. And when we're making our lemonade or we're making our lemon treat or whatever it is, it's not always going to turn out the same. It's going to be somewhat different because the circumstance is different. But what a beautiful awareness to have, to know that you know that we may not have a choice of the lemons that are being thrown at us, but we definitely have a choice, in awareness and emotional awareness, to engage with it, in whatever way feels best for us, because it is individual at any given moment.
And I like the fact that you said at any given moment, because I think that when we go through things, there are points, you know, there are points where we feel so capable and strong. It's like we're like, okay, like, oh, okay, I got this kind of attitude, like I'm doing okay, Um, and then there are moments, and it could be seconds later, where something happens. It's almost it feels like a change in the wind. It's like sometimes, and it's just like, and all of a sudden everything comes rushing back, or all of a sudden the panic sets in, and yeah,
A spiral, yep.
a spiral. Exactly, Jason. Thank you for that. That was great. No, but it is. It's like all of a sudden I messaged Mary Jane yesterday and I said it was really hard because I gathered all of Tonka's food that was not open and I gave it to the local animal shelter because they'll take unused food. And it
Mm.
was just like the packing up and the finalization, like the realization is that I was like, oh my gosh, I packed up all his treats that were like that I can give away and everything. And it was just that finality. And there's certain things I'm not ready to get rid of. Like I said to my friend, I'll box like some of his stuff up, like yeah, a sweater and a jacket and everything, but I can't give it away. At least not yet. But yeah, so it's just like in, moments like that. And then all those moments bring smiles, but they also bring sadness and tears, and they are challenging. And then other points of the day, maybe for a few seconds, I don't think about him, you know, that's very rare, but at least
I was gonna say, what, that happens? What?
not really.
No.
Well, I talk about hope, but like I'm a little hopeful. No, but yeah, it's like there's both always, right? Even within, so sometimes there's not even like a solid, feeling of panic or tears all day, but there are moments that come in. And then it's, what do you do? I mean, I shared it with, with Mary Jane. And so maybe you share it with somebody.
Mm.
Maybe you allow it to be there. and maybe the moment passes.
Well, exactly. And it, Jan's definitely been the recipient of many of my moments of panic recently, because I may or may not have experienced a few of those. Although I try not to dwell on those things. That's it's everybody needs a safe space or a person that they know, or several people, depends on the situation, that you can share um, those feelings of insecurity and fear, and while they can't necessarily fix what's happening, they can definitely support you and give you a reminder of the courage that you're already showing. So it's definitely, that's why I believe, and I think, Jan, you feel the same, that spaces like these and communities like these are really important, because we all need to know that there's people out there that are rooting for us, that are holding us, in the highest vibe and wishing us well. And so it's just, I feel it's important that way. And I know Rosemary has her own community as well. And so I know, sure, she senses that in her journey as well. So, but yeah, it's, it's definitely a story. Well, it's a never-ending story of transformation, isn't it? And it's always about the idea of, like, not to bypass what's happening, to feel whatever needs to be felt, but also to take the opportunity to see the other side of the story, and realizing that there's an opportunity for learning even more about ourselves in in the lemons we may receive. So it's just seemed like a very important conversation for today, for sure.
Yeah, I think there is great growth um,
Mhm.
in those things that happen to us. Um, it was interesting because I was thinking about how these past like 3 weeks and what I've been doing, and part of me almost felt like I was putting it to the side, but then I really realized I wasn't, that I really have been um, allowing myself. So one part of me thought, am I really not like thinking about, like, not addressing this to some extent? And then I realized that I was, one, to the extent which I could, the amount that felt right. And then, and so that was also very interesting. It's like this outer perspective of looking in and saying, okay, well, I am with the amount that I am able to at this moment. And part of me loves that for any situation, because it reveals compassion, and a little bit less um like following a recipe or doing it exactly a specific way. It's a little bit more fluid. And so, Seamus, please.
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks, Rosemary, and wishing you the very best with everything next week as well, Rosemary. Or sorry, Mary Jane. Apologies. So yeah, I'll be thinking about you, obviously, and I'm sure everyone here will be thinking about you, and everyone who loves you and knows you will be thinking about you as well. So wishing you the best with the outcome of the surgery. And yeah, Jason and I we had a conversation this morning as well, and we we talked about band-aids, and we talked about suppressing and engaging and getting curious with, you know, when we find ourselves being triggered, or when we find ourselves receiving lemons, getting curious with, well, why is this lemon coming along right now? Or goes back to Rumi, the guest house, why is this guest here? Or why is this emotion here? And I think it's an invitation, like as you just mentioned there, John, as well, like to really understand and feel the comfort and get beyond the immediate pain and the discomfort of the lemon, and through that process of simply being with, which we discussed a couple of weeks ago, I think, as well, of the power of just sitting and being with, we can actually experience what it feels like to like it's not really it's some part of acceptance, but we feel, and again, it's something that came up in the conversation with Jason this morning. We feel at comfort and better prepared to engage with whatever happens, whether it's a huge big lemon or a lime or some variation of some other emotion or something that's happened. No matter what arises in the moment, we feel better prepared to engage with it and make sense of it, and in the moment feel that we can cope, I suppose, really with whatever is emerging, and that we can make sense of it in the moment as well. So I'm sure these are all things, that may have been coming up, Mary Jane, in the past couple of months, I suppose, and Jan, obviously, in the last couple of weeks as well, since Tonka's passing. But some lemons seem really hard to, make sense of. And I think that's the opportunity we all have within ourselves, is to, through the process and through the mechanism of simply being with, which is easier said than done, we can kind of make sense of and emerge through stronger from the lemons, and often the unexpected lemons that are sent our way, I guess. So again, I think it's a lot of the opportunity is for ourselves to notice and get curious with and see and make sense of why a certain emotion or a certain event has occurred. And then I think how we engage with that rather than suppress. I think it's about, using this, like we talked about Viktor Frankl and space and the gap, and how we utilize that gap, not to apply a band-aid and suppress, but to actually be open to and get curious with whatever and why ever the lemon was sent to us at this particular moment in time. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's kind of something, you know, from my own experience, I I try and keep in mind as best I can and have the presence of mind to be able to, not apply a band-aid and suppress, but to really understand, why a certain event or why I'm feeling a certain way, and how I engage with that can help me, can help everyone around me as well. So yeah, listen, best wishes, Mary Jane, with everything, and Jan and everyone here.
Thank you so much, Seamus. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's interesting that you mentioned about Viktor Frankl, because that was one of the articles who was talking about that, and I liked there was a quote that came from there as well. It's just like, when we're no longer able to change a situation, that we're challenged to change ourselves. And that, as you said, is easier said than done, because of course, human nature and the nature of the mind is to pull us down the rabbit hole of what ifs, because that's what I call it anyways. But yeah, it's just really that it was interesting, and it's really about, really about making lemonade from lemons, and whatever life brings us. It's some of it, an aspect of it, as the article was talking about with him, was is that it's all about resilience. It's about resilience as well, because well, no matter the circumstances, we have the freedom to choose um, our the attitude or the direction that we direct our lemons to. So I just really love that, you know, we can respond to them in ways that align with us and with our values and purpose. And like I said earlier, it's also important to know that there's people in your corner rooting you on, no matter what the circumstances is, be it grief, life changes, illness, health journeys, whatever you want to call it. It's just definitely there's just knowing that there's people there supporting, and they don't have to fix. Sometimes all they have to do is listen as you go down the rabbit hole, right, Dan?
Yes. Um, and it is really because I don't think when you use the word choice and some of what Seamus shared, what was coming to my mind is it brings some sort of personal autonomy that you're not left like, you know, that stuff isn't happening. And I never used to like stuff isn't happening to you, it's happening for you.
Mm.
And that always seemed like something very challenging to, but around this topic, it makes a lot of sense. And the fact that, and I think that it does bring in some sort of, I mean, you could use whatever word, but I like the word personal autonomy because of those words, just because I think that that's what it's about. And I don't think we're often, we're not really deep down looking for somebody to fix it for us. I think we really, most of the time, just want to be heard and we want someone to listen. And if we, you know, and if we want to cry, we want to be able to cry without being judged. And, you know, whatever it is that we want to go through, but we want to be witnessed.
That's a
It's
good
really
word, witnessed.
oh, thank you. Because I think that that's really what we want. Was really, and then just learning and being open to what's happening. On Tuesday, close friend of mine. So my dream dog is to have a German Shepherd. It's my favorite dog. And I've always wanted one. And as I get older, and I think to myself, do I really want a German Shepherd? I mean, it's a big dog, you know, for me. I'm kind of
Yes.
so, but I have a friend who's a German Shepherd breeder and dog trainer, she and her husband, who live in Maine. And so she messaged me that they had one of their dogs got surrendered back, a year and a half German Shepherd. Did I want it? And part of me was, oh my gosh, you know, like my dream dog, quote unquote. And all of a sudden I said, well, tell me a little bit more about the dog. So she said to me, well, it has a few issues. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, issues, like what, you know? So I guess it's been aggressive to a few people, it's bitten a few people. And
Oh,
I thought, thought to myself, as much as I want this dog, first of all, I know I'm not ready. I'm tired. Tucker required a lot of attention for almost all his life, but especially over the past like 5 years.
hmm.
So I'm tired. And so I think that that was a huge part of it. And part of me was like, oh, should I say yes? And the other part of me was like, you know, with how much I've worked with him, I need an easy dog the next time around. I know we don't get to choose, but part of me is like, I need something a little bit, as much as I loved him a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
more of a companion and less demanding on my energy. And so, but yeah, but it was interesting to like know that about myself. Like I knew right away, even when she told me, I knew even before hearing that he had like some challenges or whatever, she had some challenges. I was just like, I'm not ready, you know. And I think that we all, when we step back and we know that, you know, about ourselves, sometimes hard to admit, um, a part of ourselves like thinks we should be ready. And I think that was the other thing that came to mind, is being able to separate out what's best for you and what everybody, and the noise of what everybody else is saying,
That,
like all the advice everybody decides they need to give you,
yes.
and all the recommendations and all that kind of stuff. It's like to filter that out and say, okay, well, I need to separate that out from what I, you know, and get quiet and see what I want versus, you know, and I'm not saying don't listen to anybody, but actually measure. It's kind of like try it on and see if that's what you need versus just automatically embracing what everybody says. And then I think it just becomes noise, like overwhelming noise.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
funny you mentioned that. Sorry,
it's okay.
Mary Jane.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Jan, because like Jason touched on this again this morning a bit, like, and it's about like back to Frankel again and creating space to notice what's going on within. And, it's so easy to blame and, get distracted by what's going on outside. But when we really allow ourselves, like through Frankel's space, like between stimulus and response, is a gap or a space, when we're in there and like really acknowledging what's going on within ourselves rather than trying to be overly influenced by what's going on outside. I think that's when we make better decisions, and that's when we're more compassionate to ourselves, and that's where we benefit immediately, and that's where others benefit around us immediately as well, because we're making better decisions for us, and we're making better decisions for other people, and we suddenly don't go from a position of reacting and doing something that we immediately regret. We use that millisecond or second or couple of seconds within that space to be able to actually feel that sense of calm. Yeah, do you know what? I feel I'm honoring myself, making a better decision. I feel better. I feel calmer. And now I'm back to choice. I'm making a choice that serves me, and I'm making a choice that immediately serves other people, invites other people to kind of make better and calmer choices as well. So there's no end to benefit, I think, from, acknowledging what's going on within, because it serves us immediately and serves everyone around us immediately as well. And I think that's what's coming up out of today's conversation too, I think.
One of the things you just mentioned, Seamus, you know, triggered something in me. And I think I so agree, because I think when we allow ourselves that space to do that, then I think other people feel more comfortable. I think we're much more able as people to understand why people might possibly make the choices they make, why they may make the choices they make. And I think if we're open to giving people enough space, ourselves space, and then people enough space, then we have better understanding of, or possible understanding
Mm.
to some extent, of what other people, the choices they make. We're also able to step back and realize that, I think about my mom, who I'm really close with, and I have a really interesting and wonderful relationship with, thankfully, with so much gratitude. I do have so much gratitude for that. But is my relationship with her, my ability to listen to her and to hear where she's at, is like, I mean, just personally, I know that I don't have many relationships like that, where I have that sort of objectivity, where I really can listen to her and hear what she's saying to me and know and step back. And it didn't happen overnight for me. There are certain things she still does, which I sit there and I kind of, like shake my head, but also to step back at that point and say, well, it's not my life. You know, it's not my life. It's, she is her own person. Um, and so I have to honor that. And I think that, we understand people a lot better. And then we have to be willing to step back and realize that, they are their own people and they have the right to make their own decisions. And so, Rosemary, please. Mary Jane, did you want to share something before
No,
Rosemary?
it was just interesting because Seamus and I must have been on the same brainwave because a lot of what he was saying was kind of thing. But I it was just and what you were just sharing now is like I liked well, I loved the name of the one article. What doesn't kill you makes you kinder. Um,
Yes.
I loved that title because
I knew you would
I'm like,
like that.
really? Um, but I did the key point, I guess, really of the article was I love that they were talking about that, and you were just speaking to as well, and Seamus too, was that, hardship, anything, the lemons that we get can really expand our capacity for empathy and it creates a deeper connection to others. And it's like opening up a greater compassion for others in an understanding or an awareness of what other people may be going through, even if we don't necessarily know the situation altogether. We can definitely expand the thing. But yes, so a reminder self that what doesn't kill me will make me kinder.
I did like that title too. Um, and the story the woman shared, which was just this little small act of kindness, shifting her whole perspective into one of hope. Um, it was just a simple act of kindness that someone did for her. Um, and how all of a sudden, I think that that's what we need, is those little acts of kindness can shift us into just a little bit to to get us out of whatever sort of spiraling sometimes that we tend to go down. And for me, it was getting flowers from the girl Trader Joe's who did, when I shared with her, gave me a bouquet of flowers, So it was so sweet. I'm just standing there online. She comes back with this bouquet of flowers and she said, "These are for you." And I was just like, wow, you know? So maybe it's flowers or maybe it's a cup of coffee that someone buys for you. Rosemary.
Wow, what a perfect topic to be talking about today. And everybody, like every time somebody was saying something, is, oh my gosh, I need to comment on that. So I don't even know where to begin now. But it seems like, for me anyway, how this is resonating for me. Sometimes we do need to step back and allow us that space, that gap, so that we can become stronger and allow things to work for us. I know decades, you work, and you got to do this, and you're raising your kids, and it's always push, push, push. And then to stop, it's kind of hard because that's the pattern that we've picked up. But when we stop, that's when we can allow the things to heal us and realize what we need healing with. And all those thoughts that we're picking up from everybody else, the energy you were talking about, Jan, listening to what everybody else's advice is. It's good to get that, but then have that space and time to actually sit down and analyze, is this really good for me? So giving ourselves that space, that time, without judgment of ourselves. I don't know. It's just so important. I'm just having a hard time. Everything resonated, and just having a hard time putting it all into words right now. But for me, it's just stepping back a little bit from everything and just allowing what feels good for me to move forward, and not having to listen to everybody else, and allow that healing to happen. And then when we're having challenges like Mary Jane, I can't even put it into words. I feel for you. And I'm sending lots of love and healing and prayers for you. And Jan, the grief that you're feeling, I've been there with several pets. And it's the same as when you lose a loved one, whether human or pet. So I just want to reach out and give you my love. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Rosemary. It really means a lot. And I think, interesting, because I thought about that. I thought about, the loss of my father versus, the loss of Tonka, and not to compare, but very different. I think animals are quite different in how animals really are unconditional love, and so, that, and like, they're like kids that never grow up and leave home. They're always, they're always there. My friend once said to me, pets don't go off to college, and get jobs and go out there in the world, like, they're with you always. And that's part of what, like, and I think that's part of it. And I don't like to use the word contract, but that's part of the contract we make with them, right? Is like, when you take on a pet, that, while you are here, they are here, or whatever. And, so, I think that it is different. As much as I miss my dad, it's just a different type of loss, I'm not comparing either one. As I thought about it, it wasn't like I was sitting there going, okay, I feel sadder now than I did. That wasn't what it was about. It was just kind of this curiosity about how it's different, how I feel different this time around. So Kimberly, please.
I really appreciate the depth of the conversation this morning. Not to imply that any of the other conversations didn't hold the same depth, but this one specifically really feels deep. When Seamus was talking about or using the words, why is this guest here? That really resonates with me, because for me, my experience of the world is that everything is divine. There are no accidents, right? We're here for a specific reason and we meet specific people. I think it's just there's times specifically where we can feel a confusion, right? And that confusion isn't, there's no judgment in that confusion, but in the specific moment and time, we may not necessarily have the clarity. And that's why, for me, like when I hear the language, why is this guest here? It's an opportunity not only to accept the invitation to personal growth, but it's an opportunity to kind of get more clarity, right? Out of confusion comes clarity. I think what that comes up for me. And then I'm not sure who it was, but I heard the language trying it on. And I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Spanglish with Adam Sandler, but I absolutely love that movie. But it was this specific scene in the movie where, and I think that's kind of what it brought up for me, trying it on. And I heard the actress's voice, um, who was a housekeeper, a nanny housekeeper in the story. But just to give it some context, the young girl, Birdie, I believe her name was, really wanted to be seen. And Jan talked a little bit about that, this human need, this of being wanting to be witnessed. But there's a specific scene in the movie where the daughter, you know, that was her experience. She wanted to be witnessed. She wanted to be seen by her mother as she was, not as not from the perspective of her mother wanting her to be a certain way, present specifically. And in the movie, I think she did a really great job, both the mother and the daughter, because they're in this specific scene that I'm talking about. You could feel the mother looking through her. She wasn't with her, she was looking through her. So there's this one specific moment, and she had bought her clothes and she was really excited because the daughter is like, she's got this invitation. Wow, this is in this present moment, my mom's really going to see me, right? She thought about me. She got me these clothes, really excited about this. Until she started going through the clothes and she started putting them on. And you could see the look, just the transition of the experience. You could see the look where she got the clothes and she was just so thrilled and excited. Like, this is the moment, this is the day. I feel so fulfilled, filled up. My mom sees me, and you could see the transition to where her mom gives her these clothes, and she's like, what? Like, what's going on here? And she looks at the tags and she notices that her mom bought her clothes that were 3 sizes too small. I believe it was 3 sizes, if I remember correct. It was a significant amount. And this girl was only like 11 or 12. So the nanny in the house, the housekeeper, she saw this. She saw this experience that her daughter, because she herself had a daughter as well, the same age, and she saw how this impacted her. So she went, and she was a seamstress as well. So she took out the hems and the clothing, and she brings them back later, and she she puts the clothing in front of her, and she's like, no, no. She's like, these are too small for me. And that's why they call it Spanglish, of course, because she was learning how to speak English. And she's hanging it in front of her, shaking it. And she's like, no, no, I can't wear this. It's too small on me. And she goes, try it on. I know it took a minute for me to get to that point, but she said, try it on. She's like, okay, fine. So she put it on. And the difference between the two women, the mother who was looking right through her daughter, and this housekeeper and nanny who was looking, and she was present with this little girl, was absolutely beautiful. And today, when I'm listening to this conversation, that's what it brings up for me. It truly is the human experience to just want to be seen and witnessed and acknowledged for the beautiful human beings that we are. And to Seamus's point, where he was talking about, why is this guest here? This is why the guest is here. Whether it's like this housekeeper in my mind, or it's another representation of the mother, I think it's important for us all to remember that out of confusion comes clarity. So for me, why is the guest here? The guest is here because they're presenting themselves so we can get clarity. So we can look in the mirror like this little girl, and we can feel seen and heard. So sorry it took me a long time to get to that point, but this was really deep today. And I just want to appreciate you, Mary Jane and Jan, for holding the space, creating the space for us to get clarity around such an important topic as being witnessed and seen this morning.
Thank you, Kimberly. I have not seen the movie, so I think I have to go out and rent it at some point, or see if it's where it's available. And one of the things that when I think about the words like witnessing and validated, and I think we have to learn how to witness and validate ourselves. Like, we have to see it for ourselves within us. Like, we have to be willing to validate and witness ourselves first, or at least learn how to do that. And I think that that's part of what the whole process is about. And that's why, like, when we say, like, what is this supposed to be teaching me about myself? Literally, that's what it's about. I think that, we spend a lot of time through the years looking for that validation and that sort of witnessing outside of ourselves. And I think we have to learn how to witness ourselves. So, Al.
Yeah, it's so important that all these are all related to relationships. Yeah. So when it comes to this week's acronym, where the lemon is so sour, so I come up with the acronym for sour. So it's a spirituality of undivided relationships. So this is a path of deep integration where two individuals connect without ego, agenda, or the myth of separation. It treats romantic and interpersonal connections as conscious vessels of mutual spiritual awakening, grounded in radical presence, undivided listening, and unconditional love. So it relates back to both you, Jen, and Mary Jane. Yeah, that both your relationships are so closely knit that it's about compassionate conversation between both of you, and how both of you came together from such a long distance in different countries. So the undivided listening and means that letting go of your own bias and or agendas or knee-jerk judgments, allowing you to truly hear the unspoken emotions and intentions of your partner. And this practice is bearing witness to another's souls without trying to fix or alter it. So this communication is also exploring themes of detachment and building healthier relational habits, and can reflect on how this might utilize into finding awareness to improve our day-to-day conversation and undivided listening and unconditional love. Thank you.
Wow, Al, sending us off for the next few weeks with a bang. That was beautiful. Mary Jane, did you want to? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just it was such a beautiful conversation today, and yes, thank you all for that. That's I know we're running a little bit behind today, so but Jan, maybe this is a good opportunity to segue into the meditation before we close.
That's absolutely. So, yeah, we can move into the meditation. Begin by finding a comfortable position, allowing the body to settle in a way that feels supported. Perhaps letting the hands rest easily, the shoulders softening a little bit. And gently, without effort, begin to notice the breath just as it is. No need to change it. Simply allowing the natural rhythm of breathing to be known. Let the breath arrive and let it leave. You might begin to feel the subtle movement in the body, the rise and the fall, a quiet anchoring into this moment. Now gently bring your awareness within, not needing to feel anything in particular, just allowing your attention to rest here. And from this place, begin to reflect. Life brings many moments that feel easy and moments that feel difficult. Moments we welcome and moments we would never choose. Perhaps if it feels okay, allow one lemon from your life to come into awareness. In this case, let it be one that arrives, or maybe one you choose. Just something present, something real. A challenge, a disappointment, an edge you are navigating. Let it be here without needing to fix it, without pushing it away. Notice how it feels in the body. Where do you sense it? Is there tightness, heaviness, restlessness? Just observing gently. with curiosity. Now, instead of turning away, see if you can stay just a little longer, breathing with it, allowing space around it. And then very softly begin to explore, what might this moment be asking of me? Not demanding an answer, just letting the question rest. What might help soften this experience, even slightly? A bit more patience, a bit more kindness, a bit more support. No need to force anything, just noticing what arises. Turning lemons into lemonade is not something we rush. It unfolds slowly, with presence, with care. And perhaps you sense that there are ingredients available to you, inner or outer, a conversation, a shift in perspective, rest, compassion. Let yourself acknowledge, even in a small way, that you are not without resources. And now gently, you might offer yourself this quiet reflection. I can meet this just as I am. No perfection required, no timeline to follow, just this willingness to stay, to listen, to respond. Allow the breath to deeply guide you. Feeling again the body resting here, supported. And when you're ready, begin to expand your awareness outward, noticing the room, the space around you. Feel free to make small movements and carry with you the simple knowing that even within what feels sour, there is the possibility of something being created in your own time, in your own way, and slowly, when it feels right, allow the eyes to open. And just notice how you feel. Thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate your shares, your energy, you all being here. Please take a moment to connect with us over the next, few weeks. We'll keep you posted on when we're actually in the same space together. So excited.
Yeah.
Please take a moment, to connect. We'll keep you posted on everything that's going on. As you all know, we have our Facebook and LinkedIn groups and pages. So if you don't follow us there, feel free to make sure that you follow us. And then also we have our YouTube channel, which is always up and running with member highlights and these recordings and other little gems that are on there. So feel free to get on. If you like, we invite you to like, comment, share, subscribe, anything that feels right. Have a wonderful few weeks. We will be back hopefully on August 21st. We wish you so many blessings and so much love. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you everyone for being here and supporting, and we look forward to, we'll say, seeing you again towards the end of August. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you both.